Okay, welcome back to Live Impact News. Let's head out to Occoquan Regional Park here in Virginia, where Governor Abigail Spanberger a ceremonial signing of legislation to protect Virginians' access to contraception. Let's take a listen.
Possible for me to stand up here and share my story at this pivotal moment of Virginia history. It is not lost on me the significance of this location where this historic signing is taking place, as well as the amazing team of women that have worked tirelessly to get this legislation passed. Thank you, Delegate Price, for being such a wonderful mentor and showing me what queer women can accomplish in the field of politics. To Katie Baker for finding meaning in my story and giving me a pedestal to share it. And finally, to Governor Spanberger for making the commitment to sign this legislation where over the past 2 years, it was vetoed each time it hit the former governor's desk. The people have spoken, and for the first time, Virginia is listening. Though it was over 100 years ago that women were granted the right to vote, our fight for equity is not over. And today, we take a step closer to that equity being codified. Contraception is a fundamental right for all Virginia citizens, and I'm here to share why, for me, this bill is more than just a symbolic step forward. When I was 16, I experienced pain that I had never felt before. I was a gymnast in high school, and one evening before practice, I was lying in bed and couldn't get up. I was writhing in pain. I had no idea why. My mom even worried my appendix might have ruptured because of how much pain I was in. For years, I struggled with this seemingly unknowing pain until I learned it was being caused by ovarian cysts. Ovarian cysts, in my case, are caused by a hormonal imbalance in my body, which also contributes to painful menstruation and intense pain. I was bedridden for half the month, as 2 out of 4 phases of my menstrual cycle were heavily painful. My doctor prescribed birth control to help me manage this debilitating condition, as hormonal birth control helps regulate hormones throughout your entire cycle. This past spring, I graduated a year early from Virginia Commonwealth University with the distinction of summa cum laude. I am so grateful I was able to graduate early with such high academic standing, but I wouldn't have been able to do so if I was stuck in my apartment from the pain. Without contraception, I would not be able to go to class, work a job, or live my life like any other student. Unfortunately, my experience isn't unique. While the right to start a family should belong in the hands of a woman and her body, millions of people rely on contraception for reasons that have nothing to do with preventing pregnancy. Contraception is healthcare, and it can be used to treat conditions like ovarian cysts, endometriosis, and severe menstrual pain. For many Virginians, like me, this victory brings peace of mind. It means knowing that something so important to our health and our futures is written into state law. This win sends an important message. Decisions about contraception belong to individuals and their doctors, not the government. For people my age, that reassurance means a lot. We're planning our futures, finishing school, starting careers, and figuring out where life will take us. Knowing that the right to contraception is safeguarded in state law helps us feel more secure about those plans. For me, the right to contraception means having control over my life. I am so proud that our state took this important step to ensure that we have autonomy not only over our bodies, but our futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella, for your inspiring words. All right, our next speaker is the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here, and I just want to thank many, many people in the room, but first and foremost, my colleagues in the House and Senate, not just the patrons who you've already heard from, but from all of the colleagues who have championed and supported and ensured the passage of this bill, as you heard from Delegate Sia Price, 3 years in a row. So it's taken a while for us. And thank you to so many of the folks who have been instrumental in getting us to where we are. And I hope I get everyone names correctly. And if I've left anyone out, my apologies. But certainly, as you've heard, Katie Baker and our Americans for Contraception, thank you for the extraordinary work you've done for these past several years. Thank you to Planned Parenthood, to Repro Rising, to Birth in Color, to Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice, ACLU, Red, Wine, and Blue. I got a rhyme in there. And to all of our strong professionals from the medical community who have stood side by side in fighting for this legislation, and also to our League of Women Voters who have been so instrumental in making sure that we are fighting for rights for everybody in the ways that we must. Just want to say thank you to Ella. You know, if you haven't read Ella's eloquent op-ed in defense of the right to contraception, please look it up. She is a strong voice, and your voice carries such power, Ella, and we've heard that again today, so thank you. I was so delighted I was honored to carry this legislation, especially working closely with my dear friend, Delegate Sia Price. And over the past 2 years, not only did we deliver this bill to former Governor Glenn Youngkin's desk, but we also hand-delivered well over 70,000 signatures of Virginians each year to his office, signatures of Virginians who literally asked him that he sign this legislation for the health and the well-being of all his constituents. And now I'm so proud that I get to stand beside a governor who does understand what this legislation means. So thank you, Governor Spanberger. Everyone who's worked on this legislation has faced their share of skeptics and face snickers from those who challenge the necessity of us in Virginia to assure that we have a right to contraception. These skeptics don't want to acknowledge the fact that as soon as the Dobbs decision came down, other forms of medical reproductive health care were also at risk. And throughout the country, we've seen a long and sustained campaign to confuse the public and to obfuscate the fact that reproductive care is essential health care, as you heard from other speakers already. We face numerous challenges. The very definition of contraception is at risk as we see legislation seeking to redefine what contraception is. And at the state level, we've seen the introduction of legislation that would prohibit health clinics at public colleges and universities from counseling and from dispensing emergency contraception. Texas has banned coverage of abortion services and emergency contraceptives from state-funded family planning programming, and that's been in place for well over a decade now. And just weeks ago, we just saw in North Carolina the introduction of House Bill 1232, which seeks to classify abortion as first-degree murder, and which allows citizens, or rather vigilantes, I should say, vigilantes to use deadly force against a pregnant individual. These same individuals are seeking to classify certain contraceptives and IUDs as abortive medications and devices. And with the current administration in Washington, we don't have any real assurance that Trump's FDA will not reclassify contraception as tools of abortion. So yes, this legislation is absolutely essential. It is medical care. It is medical treatment that protects lives and treats health and well-being and ensures that Virginia's leadership is in a position to do the right thing that the constituents have been asking. So thank you to everyone who's made this day possible. And now it's my great honor to introduce the 75th governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Her Excellency Abigail Spanberger.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Lieutenant Governor. And thank you to everyone for joining us here today for what is an important day. This beautiful setting here, it's not just a backdrop, it's a reminder. It's a reminder of the women who were imprisoned right here in the Commonwealth of Virginia for demanding the right to vote. They did not stop. They did not accept the answers they were given along the way. They kept going until the law caught up with what was fundamentally right. And that is what we are doing here today. And it is fitting to do it here. And it is fitting that we do it at this moment in our history. Because in the years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, states across the country have moved at a blistering pace to restrict access to women's health care. This is especially true with reproductive health care, abortion services, fertility treatments, and yes, contraception, and yes, medicine. That while it can prevent pregnancy, medicine that is vitally important, doctor prescribed to contend with a whole variety of ailments and illnesses that are created due to hormonal imbalances. And let's speak plainly about what is going on as a result of these policies in other states. Women facing medical emergencies are being turned away. Some of them are dying. And this is a reality of what some women in other states are facing. But in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have not gone down that road. In fact, Virginia is the only state in the South, as Senator Carol Foy noted, the only state in the South where a woman has the same freedom to make her own health care decisions today that she did before the Dobbs decision. And today we are making sure that that's not just a matter of political circumstance, it has to be a matter of law. Because it's not for lack of trying that we still are where we are. It's because of legislators who stood up to efforts in Richmond to put us on the same path as other states. And today, we are taking a step forward because we know decisions about reproductive care, they are deeply personal, and they belong to the individuals making their own decisions. They do not belong with politicians, not with government officials, and they certainly do not belong to whomever happens to be in the governor's office any given year. Now, I am truly honored to be the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and especially the governor who signs these bills into law. But if we're being honest, this ceremony could have happened a couple years ago. Because when my predecessor vetoed legislation that would have ensured access to health care over and over, bills with bipartisan support, bills backed by doctors, nurses, and the overwhelming majority of Virginians across the political spectrum, that was denying the will of the people, and importantly, it was endangering the health of women across our Commonwealth. And that is precisely why, when I ran for this office, I made a promise to the citizens of this Commonwealth: when I am governor, I will sign the Right to Contraception Act into law. And today we're keeping that promise. So I know the patrons spoke about what these bills do. The Right to Contraception, patroned by Senator Jennifer Carol Foy and Delegate Sia Price. This bill legally establishes that every person has the right to obtain contraceptions and that no law, regulation, or policy can stand in the way. that includes IUDs, emergency contraception, oral contraception, and every other FDA-approved method. What's more, it gives individuals the right to take legal action if that access is threatened, and it gives the Attorney General the power to make sure that these protections are carried out. In other words, it's not merely symbolic, it's enforceable. And as we heard from Delegate Price and as we heard from Ella Stanton, this isn't just about contraception and preventing pregnancy. This is about ensuring that women with a variety of illnesses, particularly PCOS, that they have access to the care that their doctors want them to have. The other bill we're signing today is the Contraceptive Equality Act, patroned by Senator Jennifer Carroll Foy and Delegate Josh Thomas.